We eat with our eyes first is a saying that is usually applied to food. The meaning is self-explanatory. If something doesn't look good, it won't be eaten. But this saying can be applied to other mediums, such as gaming. And you better believe that the games media will do just about anything to have their products consumed, making it not too unusual to see a Todd Howard type up on a stage saying something along the lines of, "Just look at those graphics!"
It allows us to have 16 times the detail
in order to hook a casual player. First impressions matter. That's why we have cinematic trailers without gameplay, to try and hook us with the first thing that we see, a convenient lie. Still, despite my cynicism, graphics are an integral part of gaming since its inception. Without it, things just wouldn't be viewed the same way. When that dot, generously labeled as a tennis ball in Tennis for Two, bounced over that line, I saw that. I felt that. Graphics have only improved since then into anything we want or can imagine. If you've been around long enough to see any visual changes in gaming, you've probably asked yourself just how far can it all go? And I think as far as real life itself allows us to. At one point, it becomes like trying to invent a new color. You can't. You just don't have the frame of reference to do so, even though we know for a fact there are colors that exist that humans can't see, as invention requires inspiration after all. But where does this all leave us now with graphics? When will the improvements end? Well, games have come a long way since their beginnings. Some games look downright beautiful, but they aren't really there yet. But the closer they do get, the slower the progress will be. Inevitably, graphics will plateau. In fact, we are experiencing some of this right now. And I'm not the first person to notice this. There are plenty of 10-year-old game comparisons to modern games out right now, and the differences are minimum at best. The only real noticeable improvements being in lighting. Developers probably know this. That's why they keep adding strange things on top of the base graphics, like distant weather systems,
and even view distant weather systems across the map,
dynamic shadows, or the cold weather in a game shrinking your horse's cojones just to distract from the minimal changes. Like, seriously, how does someone calculate 16 times the detail on anything? I just don't see it. Though if you want to see ultimate plateau, just look at the PlayStation 5 versus the PlayStation 5 Pro's comparison footage. Now that's plateau. Still, you probably don't agree with all that, so I'll change the argument. Back in 2013, when Grand Theft Auto 5's release trailer came about, people who weren't into gaming had a hard time telling if it was a game or if it was a live-action movie.
I think I just figured out this is a game, isn't it?
Though it's easy to tell now with all the high-quality graphics we've been exposed to since then. And I've had my own graphical experience thanks to GTA 5. When I first started playing it back in the day, a friend would come over and we would take turns playing. One day he asked if I had an HDMI cable, and I did, as my PS3 came with one. But I had no idea what it did at the time, as I was used to using AV cables until then. Long story short, my friend swapped out the AV for HDMI and my mind was blown. I had entered the HD era. Though the graphics did not actually change, the resolution did, making it look like a futuristic game in my eyes. But standard HD in today's world isn't really that impressive, as there's this little thing called 8K resolution now. Then there's the whole FPS argument thing. Some people can't play anything lower than 60 FPS, and some special snowflakes won't accept anything less than 120 FPS, along with 8K resolution. Oh, just shut up and play the game already. It's fine the way it is. Do you really need to see the individual frame on Chun-Li's ass in 8K just to play the game? If that's the case, I may just have some bad news for you, buddy. You may just be a pervert. You know, with all these FPSs and resolutions these days, I just can't help but wonder, if the game looks better because you have a better PC, isn't it literally because you have a better PC, not the game by itself? And did anyone else wonder what the blind gamer's take on all these graphics is, or is it just me? I'd pay for that. They must think we're insane arguing about all this stuff. Me, personally, I don't care about resolution or FPS. Sure, I was impressed that time with GTA 5, but that all lasted for about a week before it wore off. Then it was normal to me, and I haven't cared about resolution since. And as for FPS, I never had a wow moment in my entire life. Most of the time, I don't even notice what the FPS is. Not that I can't, I just don't. I always play the game as it is presented to me, without caring for that stuff. But that's just me. You do you. Still, resolution and FPS can only go as far as our eyes allow. That being 32K for resolution and 30 to 60 for FPS. But people will swear to be able to see the difference at 120. Maybe it's a placebo effect thing. Maybe you don't agree with any of that either. Maybe resolution and FPS will increase infinitely and we'll be able to see the difference forever. Well, there's something you may just agree with. We are never going to see a jump in graphics like we have in the past. We are never going to go from 8-bit to 16-bit ever again. From here on out, it's baby steps progress-wise. If we truly haven't plateaued yet, we've at least hit a steep hill. And that's fine. Graphics don't need to look hyper-realistic for the game to be good. Some of the best games to ever exist look bad. Even modern success stories like Schedule 1 objectively look bad. But the reason their look succeeded was the art style, not the graphics. They have an iconic look that carried them past great graphics. Because a video game is a piece of art just as much as it is a visual experience. But if all else fails, we can always fall back on the most important aspect of a game. Like I said earlier, graphics are nothing more than a hook used to draw us in. But what makes sure we stay hooked is the gameplay first and foremost, and everything else is secondary. The story, the characters, the music, the replay value, the accessibility, the controls, the community, the atmosphere, the art style. Though there are many games that succeed in these secondary things individually, they usually have middling success. But when you combine all these things together, along with gameplay in a clear-cut vision, is what makes for a great game. Having great graphics on top of that is just a nice bonus, and that will always be the case.